In 1940, RAF Langham was no more than a small satellite airfield of RAF Bertram Newton. By 1944, the site had enlarged to become an independent RAF station, which was to remain active into the late 1950s. In 1944, war veteran Herbert Osborn was posted to Langham, where he served as a navigator on the Bristol Beaufighters of 455 Royal Australian Air Force Squadron. This is his story.
I had this 3 months at Cranwell learning Morse, because we had to be radio operators as well, you see.
Well, yeah.
And that would be, Canada was January to July. June was when I had my 21st birthday. We came to, and then I had the autumn at Cranwell, and that December I was located to a squadron at Lucas. But I didn't even do an operational training unit, you see, on Beaufighters.
You just straight in?
Went straight. Well, the thing is that the squadron was useless, having got rid of. I flew a few times in the old Hamden.
Yeah.
There was no string bag.
Yeah.
But never an operations.
And they got rid of that.
They got rid of those.
Replaced with boat.
And all our pilots were for a while trying to get used to the Beaufighter.
Yeah.
It was a very manoeuvrable. It's a very nice aircraft, but it wasn't anywhere near as manoeuvrable or as light as the Mosquito.
Right.
But if you were hit on in a Beaufighter, you stood much more of a chance of surviving than a Mosquito.
Today, Bert is visiting Langham with his son. The pair have arranged to meet with members of the local group, the Friends of Langham Dome.
I can't believe the privilege of meeting this guy. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Although his memory cannot recall for definite, we believe Bert was billeted at the communal site on Morstan Road. Almost 70 years on, Bert is revisiting Langham, where he completed some 25 missions, experiencing attacks, shrapnel wounds, and surviving an emergency landing on return from a torpedo bombing mission.
You did have some successful attacks, didn't you?
Oh yes.
Telling us yesterday when you were talking about
Yes,
the one
yes, I remember. Yesterday we
Belgium.
got from Lucas, and I saw, we weren't allowed to go that close, but I saw the control tower, and on the first occasion when 455 became operational, I can remember pulling off, and all the ground crew, they were waving us off, and we attacked a convoy. I can still remember Milson saying, "Deploy for action." Stuck in my mind.
Your very first action.
As we were approaching. Well, it's the first time that I've ever had anybody wanting to kill me.
Yeah, the adrenaline kicks in.
It kicks in.
Yeah.
You're 22.
And I've never been in
You're
an attack.
22 at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember it was cloud. We pulled up, and I still remember now. I looked down, and there were 3 plumes. So 489 Squadron had got at least 3 torpedo hits. Now, the one occasion when we did get something, I forget now whether I mentioned it to you, but I can remember from here. We had a message from the Belgian underground that a couple of ships were leaving harbour in France, I think it is, bound for Germany, and I think they were U-boat. There was kind of a mothership, a supply ship.
Yes.
And we were scrambled, and I happened to be on duty. We went out and we sank both of them. But it's the only occasion where we went out, we didn't have a shot fired back at us.
Really?
They weren't ready. They were so sure.
They were trying to do it quietly.
They didn't even have a frigate to protect them.
Really?
So that they paid for it.
Yes. God.
On return from one mission, their Beaufighter was damaged and Bert's pilot, Lloyd Farr, was forced to make an emergency landing, just missing the main runway.
Were you escorted back by others, or were you on your own?
We were on our own.
The others had
Because
all
you see, I hadn't got a compass. Well, fortunately, the sun was shining.
Yeah.
It was afternoon, as it
It
were.
was afternoon. Yeah.
And
all the story.
if you set out from Den Helder anywhere westward, you're bound to hit England.
Yeah.
The cupola blew off at the beginning. I wasn't interested in what's going on. You know what it's like flying the Tiger off? Well, that sort of thing. I was in the open air. All the way back here.
Really? The cupola had blown off?
Yes.
Over Den Helder.
Den Helder.
Really?
No.
Yes, God.
Lloyd did a very good job. We came in about 150 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Just sufficient so we didn't go tip it.
Yeah.
And so also not sufficiently fast to bounce off.
Yeah.
When we landed, had my head like this on the ammunition. Now, the first thing I knew when we landed was that we were surrounded by the blood wagons, we used to call them, the ambulances. And they hoisted me out because they got my flag.
Yeah.
And they checked on with Lloyd. He was perfectly all right. One of my 10 attacks, 5 of them we were hit.
Well, yeah.
It's true, this one brought me down, but we were hit on others, but we survived.
Yeah.
After coffee, Bert was taken on to the former airfield, gaining access to the surviving control tower built in 1941. Today the building overlooks turkey sheds, which dominate the former runways. But although the building is now used as offices for the poultry farm, the interior remains pretty much unaltered, retaining its 1940s character.
This is as it was in a way. I mean, there's a building structure.
Yeah. There's been all the radio cockpits. And also, I imagine there have probably been a diesel for emergency electricity.
Generator,
What is quite interesting is, do you remember the gallery that they used to stand outside?
Yeah.
That's still there.
Is it really?
After a quick tour downstairs, the group then climbed the stairs to the upper floor, making their way into the former control room.
So
That's where we are.
farm runway.
This would have been the main.
Now, I think when this door's coming, we must be over there somewhere. That's interesting, isn't it?
trees in the way.
Mind you, I didn't live here, so I didn't come up here very often. But we looked here as you were telling, this would be the place where we were controlled.
Was Davenport first on the scene? Was he there?
Oh yes, he left eventually to go higher up somewhere.
Yeah.
But when you were picked up when you landed, weren't you? Didn't you say that group captain or
Oh,
something
yes,
you said
he was who was instrumental in getting my DFC.
because you heard them say that and you was being lifted out. You said
Because I went into the hospital to get the shrapnel removed from my legs.
Yeah, oh right.
And but in the course of it, we had to be debriefed in the operations room. We always had to before and after.
Yes, yeah.
And it was while I was there, being the debriefing, that I heard him on the phone to somebody saying that DFC for this job, something like that.
The group venture next door, where the view is to the east.
That's the other runway that was put in later.
Oh yes.
And you're looking, actually, if those huts weren't there, you'd be looking at Blakeney Church.
Would be. I was going to say, because I don't remember Blakeney Church being prominent in our land.
Well, it is.
Blakeney Harbour, yes.
And the house on the hill. There's a house on the hill.
It probably was, yes.
We'll see when we get round.
No, thank you very much. That's very great.
The group decide to leave the control tower, and Bert is taken across the airfield towards the blister hangar, where Henry still operates vintage aircraft. Henry introduces Bert to his collection of Second World War artifacts found across the airfield over the years.
That's a spoon from probably your era. It's still got.
I can't say I identify it.
It's still got the ministry markings on it.
Oh yes.
It's not just Bert who's celebrating being 90 this year. Henry fires up a contraption he's restored of the same age.
More noisy than I am.
But isn't that amazing?
It is.
For all those years.
So that was Bert's story. 70 years on, how does Bert feel about his contribution towards the defeat of Nazi Germany?
The trouble is, however, that it doesn't seem that people learn that war doesn't get you anywhere. Eventually.
Although, if you hadn't done your bit,
Yes.
what would we be doing now?
I think I came in to the war to defeat Hitler and his aggression. I don't think since then, with the United Nations, there's ever been any grounds for people to act like